Anytime you got Snoop Dogg in a Republican ad, it's really tough. Let's get right to our panel. Karen Finney is an MSNBC political analyst. John Harwood, CNBC's chief Washington correspondent and political writer for the New York Times. And Dr. James Peterson, the pride and joy of Lehigh University. Good day to you all. Let's start with the Marvin Gaye subsection here. Mr. Peterson, Professor Peterson, let's talk presidents and tax returns. Almost every major party candidate, including his dad, releases multiple tax returns. George Will and Bill Kristol, two conservative, have said as much. So why won't Mitt Romney just listen to them and release them?
Well, George Will is right. I think that the political calculus has already been put into place here for Romney and from their campaign. There's something he doesn't want us to see. And what I think is, I don't think it's anything criminal. I just think it's more of the same. It's more offshoring, more offshore investments. And also, I think what will be revealed if he does let us see access to his tax returns for the next several years, for the previous several years, you'll see that some of his investments were with institutions and with entities that contributed to the economic downfall of our country. So things like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, different sort of all the kinds of derivative schemes that we've seen in some of these sort of high-end financial institutions. You'll see that Bain and Romney himself was probably involved in some of those things. Nothing illegal, but things that will be politically damaging for him.
Certainly. So, John, any armchair campaign manager knows you have to release the candidate's tax returns. So why is the Romney campaign stumbling so badly on something that is so simple and rather obvious?
Well, I think it's because his finances are not simple. They're complex. And as George Will was making that point on a Sunday talk show, I believe that he is correct that they've calculated that it would be more embarrassing to have stuff out there for the Obama campaign to pick through, attack him on, than it would be to put it out. The question is, can they sustain that position? I talked yesterday to two Romney officials, one of whom said, we're not taking the bait, we're not giving any more than we've said we were going to give out. Another one said, to my knowledge, we're staying the course. So I think that is translated means they're going to wait and see how much the heat gets. I talked to a senior Democrat, veteran of many presidential campaigns yesterday, who said, look, this is not a disaster for Mitt Romney, but it's a distraction they don't need in a close race. He was speculating that they would either have to come out with more tax returns or perhaps the specifics of the retirement or separation agreement from Bain Capital, which might outline some more potentially embarrassing transactions of the kind the Obama people have been attacking.
Well, to coin a phrase, I guess they're switching and waiting. You heard it a bit in top lines, Karen, but I want to play again Mitt Romney's defense this morning on Fox and Friends for not releasing more tax returns. Let's take a listen.
John McCain ran for president and released 2 years of tax returns. John Kerry ran for president. You know, his wife, who has hundreds of millions of dollars, she never released her tax returns.
I mean, Karen, is this, she did it too.
Well,
is that going to really work? Teresa Heinz Kerry was not running for president.
That's
and
right.
Do you really want to bring wives into the fray here?
I was going to say, if you're hiding behind a former candidate's wife,
wow. That's two skirts.
That's two skirts, and you are really back on your heels.
Right.
I mean, look, as these guys have said, I think they've made calculation that what's in there and the story that tells us is a bigger potential hit than taking the hits they are now. I think they're wrong in this calculus, and why they didn't have a better answer, I think, is also part of what's hurting them. Here's one of the things that I want us to remember. The time frame that we're talking about, this is the time frame, this is post-Enron. This is Tyco. This is when we learned about tax evasion schemes in the Bermudas and the Cayman Islands. This is when we saw CEOs run amok, and we saw corporate governance having to be reined in, and we saw even greater accountability, and sort of companies like Bain and Mitt Romney would have more likely been less likely to take this kind of risk and just willy-nilly sign a document than ever before. So their argument just doesn't hold up, and it's going to damage his credibility going forward. Even if we never get all the tax returns, I think a lot of the damage is frankly done at this point.
Yeah, a lot of damage has been done already. James Peterson, let me play for you sound from the Senate floor this morning. Both the Democratic and GOP leader talking about this issue. Let's take a listen.
We can only guess what new secrets would be revealed if we could examine a dozen years of his tax returns.
The president's campaign wants people asking whether his opponent is hiding something on a 10-year-old tax return.
Now, we've got a big fight in Congress on extending the Bush tax cuts. Is it possible that Romney's 2011 tax return could complicate that math for Republicans?
Absolutely. I mean, again, for people to suggest that this is not important to the American voting republic is a little bit disingenuous. The way that Romney's deflecting is as well. Remember, both John McCain and John Kerry lost their bid for presidency, so hopefully he's not trying to follow in those footsteps. But the bottom line here is, like Luke Rusher said on Twitter earlier today, this is an opportunity for the Romney campaign to actually talk about tax reform, to actually concede the fact that maybe his tax rates and the different loopholes that he and folk like him have taken actually abuse our system and actually deplete the system's resources in ways that are unfortunate for the country long term. And so instead of being courageous and sort of taking this as an opportunity, Romney's deflections, I think, are going to continue to make this a worse situation for him.
Karen, what about those deflections? Are they going to, in the long run, help him, or you think they will continue to do damage because he looks like he's being dishonest about something?
It does look like he's being dishonest about something, and you can't just keep saying, no, trust me, right? I mean, that's what we heard from Wall Street. But here's the other thing. How many homeowners who've lost their homes found themselves very much accountable for those loan documents they signed, right? So this idea that, well, I signed those documents and my name's on them, but I'm not accountable, and again, this sort of constant drip out of new information that conflicts what he's been saying. That's really what's killing them right now.
Right.
But, guys, I do think we need to be honest about one thing, which is that the Obama campaign's sole interest in additional tax returns is, in fact, to have more information to attack Mitt Romney with. And, you know, Democrats have been losing the policy argument on taxes. They weren't able to extend the top end or let the top end tax cuts expire and preserve the middle class. They believe that this is a tool, this issue is a tool to both help them win that policy fight, but also win the election.
But look, if this is a contact sport, and we've got 30 seconds left, this is a contact sport, you can't holler ouch when you get hit, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And plus, I mean, Mitt Romney probably got skirted the laws, or legally the laws that the 1%ers use that 99% of us don't get to use. I mean, on the face of it, that might be what we see.
Well,
all right,
but Karen, we got
to wrap it up here. I'm so sorry. Karen Finney, John Harwood, and James Peterson, thank you so very much. Coming up on Hardball, Chris Matthews on why Bain matters. Plus, dirty, angry money. That's just ahead at 5. Next, are some Republican donors already banking on a Mitt Romney loss? Stay with us.
But if you're a campaign contributor to Barack Obama, your business may stand to get billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in cash from the government. I think it's wrong. I think it stinks to high heaven.